Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the mayor of Los Angeles calling out Governor Abbott for sending migrants to the City of Angels. And local authorities caught up with a Victoria man who's now facing several drug charges. Plus severe weather from extreme heat impacting several states in the South.
We are looking at some big thunderstorms way north of Austin right about now. But as far as we're concerned, we're at 91, but it feels like 107. Isn't that fun? We'll be talking about your weekend weather coming up in just a moment.
And a former Victoria West Warrior pole vaulter is back in the Crossroads after being in Lubbock for 5 years. We hear from her in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Karina Garcia. Don Brubaker is off. A 34-year-old Victoria man will spend the next 4.5 years in prison. Antonio Flores found guilty on charges of indecency with a child by sexual conduct. A grand jury indicted him last December. The trial started Monday and he was found guilty yesterday. So have to be registered as a sex offender and pay a $2,000 fine. 6 years ago, Antonio Vea Jr. was reported missing. The next day, the 38-year-old's vehicle was found outside the city's limits in Victoria County. Information on the case, if you have information on this case, please call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. Earlier this week, a search warrant was executed in the 15,000 block of Bonham Street in an ongoing investigation by authorities. Investigators say they found 281 grams of cocaine, 11.5 pounds of marijuana, assorted pills, and other paraphernalia. Pedro Martinez was taken into custody and he now faces several charges. Severe weather continues to hammer the South with threatening weather moving into the plains after at least 10 reported tornadoes struck Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. And now tonight, millions of Americans are facing extremes like damaging winds, huge hail, and tornadoes from Florida to Kansas.
Threatening weather persisting through the South as parts of Alabama and Florida face yet another tornado watch Thursday. This twister captured in Georgia is one of at least 10 reported tornadoes that barreled through Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. One man sharing how he survived a lightning strike.
It actually throwed me back. It's just a miracle to me.
The storms bringing high winds, thunderstorms, and hail. Massive hail falling in an Arkansas lake as severe weather moved through the state. In Mississippi, this home destroyed as winds of up to 82 miles per hour were reported.
Thank God she wasn't in that room back there, because it's just demolished.
Hazy smoke seen blanketing Minneapolis skyline as more smoke from wildfires burning in Canada drifts through parts of the country. Minneapolis seeing its worst air quality yesterday since 1980. That smoke now moving into Chicago and Indianapolis. In Texas, they are facing record heat and higher grid demand as triple-digit temps are expected in Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston by the weekend. Melissa Don, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And continuing on these record temperatures, extreme heat is expected to impact large parts of Texas and Mexico at least 5 times more due to human-caused climate change. That's according to an analysis from the research group Climate Central. Many major cities in Texas and Mexico will see triple-digit temperatures from Thursday to Monday. The National Weather Service issued heat advisories from southern Texas into southern Louisiana for today, with the heat index possibly exceeding 110 degrees. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas says it is expecting high energy demand in the coming days and cautioning residents to be prepared. And now let's go to Mac, who can tell you more about this. Mac, I'm burning out there and I'm not having a good time, and I'm sure many people aren't either.
I'm sure a lot of people. Can you imagine having to work outside? I mean, we're just going from building to building, but yeah, it's tough out there. And you know, they're telling us what we already knew. It's been an early heat wave in June, and we've still got July, August, and September to deal with. This afternoon, brilliant wall-to-wall sunshine for us got us up into the 90s. One lone thunderstorm popped up late this afternoon, and it's a serious one. It's dropping hail up there in the San Saba area, and it looks like it's headed toward Killeen and Fort Cavazos. We'll be talking more about your weekend forecast in a moment. Karina, back to you.
Mac, thank you. A bus of migrants arrived in Los Angeles yesterday afternoon from Texas. City leaders say the group of 42 people, including 8 children, arrived after a 23-hour bus ride without food or water. They were taken to St. Anthony's Catholic Church and were provided with food and supplies. The migrants originated from Venezuela, Guatemala, and Honduras. Leaders in Los Angeles said they were prepared for this sort of thing and the migrants are welcome there.
The governor of Texas is using human beings as a political stunt. This is obviously, he's obviously a person who's been elected that is not strong enough to meet the moment in his state, but that's okay because all these people here in Los Angeles and in California are more than capable of welcoming these folks here because Los Angeles is a place and a city for everyone, and we'll keep pushing for our sanctuary policies to make sure that immigrants and migrants know that they are safe here, that they are welcome here.
Governor Abbott announced on social media the transportation of migrants to Los Angeles was, quote, much needed relief, unquote, for the border. And so this brings us to your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. The question is, do you approve of Governor Abbott sending migrants to Los Angeles? Yes or no? We take a look at these results and 62% say yes. 38% stand at no. We want to keep on hearing from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we will, of course, have an update on 25 News now at 10. And now we go to Boston, where a former morgue manager at Harvard University Medical School is accused of stealing and selling dissected human body parts. Federal prosecutors say the scheme lasted about 4 years using cadavers donated to the school for educational purposes. We want to warn you, some of these details are difficult to hear.
Is it real? Yes, he was already passed away, but still.
A gruesome discovery at Harvard University Medical School, where FBI agents say the former morgue manager, Cedric Lodge, stole and sold human body parts for years. Officials say the body of a New Hampshire sheriff's deputy who died in 2019 was part of the morbid scheme.
Who could do something like that? What kind of person? No respect at all for the family. They need to pay.
Investigators say from 2018 to 2022, Lodge stole heads, brains, skin, and bones from cadavers donated to the medical school for science. He then allegedly brought them to his New Hampshire home and, with his wife's help, sold them for thousands of dollars. Buyers identified in the federal indictment include Katrina McLean, owner of Cat's Creepy Creations, a Massachusetts store that advertises creations that shock the mind and shake the soul. Officials say she and others were allowed to enter the morgue and choose what they wanted to buy, some items selling for hundreds of dollars each. In one case, skin that was sold was allegedly made into leather. The family of that New Hampshire sheriff's deputy says his wife died earlier this year. Her body was also donated. Her daughters now want her body returned.
And she's down there. Yeah. And we want her back.
Harvard Medical School leaders called the case morally reprehensible and an abhorrent betrayal, saying they're working to find all of the families affected and have set up a website and hotline for donors' families. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And we come back to Texas, where 2 new laws put restrictions on transgender athletes and diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Today, Governor Greg Abbott signed the sports bill in Austin. It bans transgender athletes from playing on university teams that don't correspond to their gender on their birth certificates. Critics say it's a discriminatory attack on transgender rights. It also expands such restrictions for middle and high school teams.
Women's sports, women's records, women's teams, women's dressing rooms, all are jeopardized when men are allowed to compete for those teams, for those titles, for those records.
The bill is Senate Bill 15, and this signing follows another one yesterday, which is to ban diversity, equity, and inclusion offices at Texas colleges and universities. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 6, some area students are still hard at working as they learn about AI this summer. And President Biden is highlighting his administration's push to end so-called junk fees that's surprising customers. We have that story straight ahead. A federal jury in Pittsburgh is deliberating in the synagogue mass shooting trial. The defense did not dispute that Robert Bowers killed 11 people who were celebrating the Sabbath back in 2018, but they did claim Bowers fired in the temple because the temple was working with an immigrant group, not because he hated Jews. However, the prosecutor called that argument absurd and reminded the jury that when Bowers was caught, he said he wanted to kill Jews. Bowers is on trial for 63 charges, including hate crimes resulting in deaths. If convicted, he could face the death penalty. In his latest move to crack down on junk fees, President Biden announced several ticketing grants, including Ticketmaster's parent company Live Nation, have committed to disclosing the full price of tickets up front. This is part of Biden's consumer advocacy plan to save Americans money, but also comes after Ticketmaster faced major scrutiny in November from Taylor Swift's Eras Tour debacle.
President Joe Biden announcing several large companies, including Ticketmaster and its parent company, Live Nation, committing to post all-inclusive pricing up front rather than surprising consumers with additional fees at the end of checkout.
These hidden charges the companies sneak into your bill to make you pay more without you really knowing it.
The president hosting executives from other big corporations like SeatGeek, a mobile-focused ticketing platform, and Airbnb, a rental marketplace, to highlight the administration's latest pressure campaign to end so-called junk fees.
The companies represented here today are voluntarily committing to all-in upfront pricing.
The White House lauding Biden's efforts to lower costs for hardworking families. The ticketing issue reached a boiling point in November when fans faced exorbitantly high prices for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour tickets.
We spent $6,000. Experiences are forever. Like, we will never forget this.
Live Nation saying concert attendance was up 24% last year compared to pre-pandemic numbers from 2019, while the average U.S. concert ticket price came in at just over $100.
This is a win for consumers, in my view, and proof that our crackdown on junk fees has real momentum.
Live Nation plans to roll out the all-in pricing experience in September. The White House says more companies plan to heed the president's call so consumers can know exactly what they're paying for up front. Em Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
A group of local students still learning this summer at Victoria College AI Camp. In this hands-on camp, they're even building small robots out of Legos. Some Cade Middle School 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students spent the last 2 weeks at camp. The robots have motors connected to their own computer memory card built by the students. With the right code, the robots move, turn on headlights, and spin around.
I enjoyed it. The coding challenges were difficult enough, and they were a lot of fun.
I would definitely recommend people going to Camp AI because it does help with teamwork, and it also lets you, meet new people and use perspectives.
So these students have A's and B's in their science and math classes, which is a qualification, and most of them want to pursue careers in computer science.
And besides, why would you want to be outdoors anyway? You can be in the classroom, learning how to do coding. Good stuff. Congratulations, those kids. Well, it's a hot one, folks. You know that. The changes are almost imperceptible over the next couple of days. And we'll take a look at the tropics coming up in just a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everyone. You know the story. It's going to be hot and humid right on through. In fact, it might go even up a couple degrees. 91 currently, it feels like 107, and that's when that humidity just really makes a big difference on your day. We managed to get up to 96 today. Now we're supposed to be about 93, and I believe this temperature is still going to go up another couple degrees. So tomorrow 97 and then maybe 98. But it doesn't really matter, really. I mean, 100 is 100. I mean, it's close enough. We, of course, had wall-to-wall sunshine and lots of heat for today. Late this afternoon, a big thunderstorm popped up just outside of Brady out here, going through San Saba right now. And ordinarily, I'd say, well, it's just an afternoon shower. But no, this is a big one. It's dropping hail, and it's causing very strong winds. These are the pop-up showers, or they're called theoretically pulse showers. It's just hot, hot, hot. Then boom, all of a sudden this pops up and it'll decrease once the sun goes down. 96 currently, actually that was our observed high temperature. And you can see how the state is just baking. Obviously 100 degrees along the river, and even 100 in San Angelo, 97 up in Mineral Wells. This is your forecast high. This is tomorrow, and there you can see we're pushing it up to 99. Now, what's happening now with all this sunshine is that all the concrete, all the asphalt, all the iron and steel begins to absorb the heat. So it doesn't get cool at night and it gets warmer in the daytime. So if you think it's a problem here, you ought to try going to Houston, where the urban heat island will be retaining a lot of that heat. In fact, when nighttime temperatures don't get below 80 degrees, then you know you've got a heat wave. Well, oppressive heat is a forecast for the weekend. You're going to be outdoors. Yes, you can cross the street and go shopping and all that stuff, but working out and doing hard work out there is going to be nearly impossible. You're going to be perspiring a lot. Now, if you're out in the breeze, getting a nice breeze across the park there, that's good. But if you're working in an isolated situation where there is no wind, that's when you can overexert yourself. High pressure on top of us, that is going to keep us where we are for quite some time. There's really no change in sight until we get some massive upper winds changing, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Now here's some big news, okay? There's the west coast of Africa. You can see it right there. Right here, you see how the winds are sort of colliding into each other? That's the intertropical convergence zone. That's where the storms build. Well, we're getting a little wave coming off the west coast. It sort of tries to get organized, and watch this. In about 7 days, sometime next week, all the computer models are now beginning to agree that we're going to pick up a circulation out here in the mid-Atlantic. Meanwhile, there's another one that's going to somehow get from the Caribbean right along the east coast. So there'll be a circulation up here too. So bottom line is we'll be watching it for you, because nothing moves in the Atlantic without me telling you about it. 83, the low temperature in Port Lavaca. Remember I was talking about hot weather? And if you got no AC, boy, that is hard to deal with. 95 tomorrow along the coast, and then tomorrow in Cuero, we're starting off at 80 degrees and getting up to 102, obviously, because they're going to get, they're further inland. Another alert day, and we're going to be staying here. High heat index running at about 120 for the rest of next week. So this is a serious heat, folks. Just try and stay cool and get plenty of fluids. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everyone we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your cell phone. And now we'll toss it back to Karina.
Thanks, Mac. Not looking forward to those temperatures, but let's look forward to Sports Director Gina Perez.
Thanks, Karina. And the Victoria Generals are back at home tonight. We have how they did last night after the break. At a Crossroads, a former Victoria West Lady Warrior pole vaulter is back in the Crossroads, and her success as a Red Raider is the reason why she's the Athlete of the Week. Riley Redding has been competing as a pole vaulter since middle school and continued into college at Texas Tech. Coming back home gave her a bit of mixed feelings.
I mean, I'm getting little flashbacks to 300s, and those were not good. But no, it's fun. I mean, this is where I had my start. I've been worked out here from 7th to my senior year, and so got a lot of memories on this track and in the building.
Redding did not want to compete in pole vault after her 7th grade season, but her parents thought otherwise and made her. By the end of her junior year, Redding fell in love with the sport, and in the same season, she realized she could potentially get a scholarship as a vaulter. She is thankful for everything her parents did and continue to do for her, even if it was forcing her to play a sport.
They've seen me grow into the person that I am today, and I think they knew that the people I was surrounded by, the sport and everything that I loved, and having them by me, that they knew that it changed me to be a better person. They're just so proud of me.
Redding has been a part of the track and field team in Lubbock for the past 5 years and has been really successful at it. She qualified for conference and regionals every year except her freshman year. Her best jump was 4.19 meters or 13.7 feet. But the success has had its ups and downs. She lost a year during the COVID-19 pandemic. She was in a tornado watch at conference, and she even had a couple of injuries.
Pole vault really has taught me just to not take anything for granted, to not take anything too serious either. You know, you're gonna have bad days, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have all right days, but I mean, I think in general it just taught me to just be a better person, if that's kind of cliche, but.
She said she is going to miss her friends and teammates, but will reflect on the memories they created and has a message for the young athletes out there.
A bad meet is just a bad meet. You learn from it and you just enjoy it while you can, because time goes by so fast, and if I could have 5 more years, I'd do 5 more years, but you know, I've made my peace with it, I had my fun, and just cherish the memories, really.
Redding is graduating this year with a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology and a minor in Healthcare Administration. Her success at regionals and winning a bronze medal in conference is why Riley Redding is your Athlete of the Week. And last night, it was a low-scoring affair between the Victoria Generals and the Seguin River Monsters. The Generals' bats were quiet for most of the game, failing to score any runs until the last and final inning. It was an impressive comeback, and the Generals were able to win their 3rd consecutive game. The Generals take on the Acadiana Cane Cutters tonight at 7:05 at Riverside Stadium. Also, the United States men's national soccer team takes on Mexico tonight for the CONCACAF semifinal game. Well, that's your sports. Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Gina. We're back in a moment. Field day at one New York City elementary school became a little more exciting than usual. It started out as a typical field day at Forest Avenue Elementary School. During an announcement, third grade Samantha Zito and her fourth grade brother Nicholas were busy waving American flags when they noticed a soldier. Now, this was just not any soldier. This was Staff Sergeant Nicholas Zito, their dad. Yeah. And Zito said he wanted a low-key surprise to his wife and but his wife had other plans. He showed up at the school to surprise his children. Zito had been deployed to Kenya for exactly 1 year. And oh, look at that big hug.
Just in time for Father's Day,
Just in time for Father's Day.
Boy, she saw him from a mile away.
When you know, you know.
Those are the best kinds of stories, feel-good stories like that. But they are outside, and that's someplace that I'm not going to be for a while now.
Yeah, hopefully they weren't outside too long. But you know, it's so important this weekend. You know, of course we have Juneteenth. We also have Father's Day. Are you ready for that? Make sure you get, you know, a card or a tie or something.
Or go golfing. Well, it's a little hot.
Yeah, a little hot, a little hot. Well, you know, if the breeze is blowing, it's not too bad. But in terms of heat, it is on, folks, and it's going to be here for a while. We just have to learn to deal with it. We're looking at another alert day for Friday. And yes, over the weekend, we are pushing the heat index up to about 120. So that's a point where you don't want to be, you know, doing anything too strenuous outdoors other than, you know, buying a snow cone, getting some ice cream, something like that. Other than that, that's what we're looking at. That's your forecast.
That's right. And right now, a cold water bottle. Yes, a cold water bottle sounds really good right now.
Even a water bottle.
No, a water bottle, not even a water bottle. Right. Well, thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today, and we hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.